That is one big problem because people say, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to be on YouTube and I'm also going to do TikTok and I'm also going to do Facebook and Twitter. But we also want to write content. We also want to have an email newsletter go out. I want to do advertisements too. And oh, this conference is happening. And it's like, whoa, hold on a second. There are just way too many things for your team of 20 people. Let's put the brakes on. Let's figure out which ones are the most effective for your business. So that is, I think, one of the biggest ones. And then not starting soon enough. And this is a mistake that, again, I've made in the past.
Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedlick, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I am here with my most amazing guest, Cahill. Cahill, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So give us a highlight of who you are and what you love to do.
I am Cahill, as you have already mentioned. I have a digital marketing agency. I focus on fractional CMO consulting for growing Web3 companies. So that's blockchain. And our agency focuses on three things: PR, content marketing, and paid media. So that's one of the things that I do. And then I also just launched a PR SaaS platform called Press Jockey. Yeah, so Press Jockey helps you get about five times more press, up to 5 times more press with 90% less effort. It's something that we built for ourselves because we needed a tool like this. And then I said, you know what, maybe we can just open it up to the world and we can let other businesses really start to get more press and share their stories.
Well, that is super fun. And you're going to be preaching to the choir today, but that's okay. That makes it easier for me to be able to prick your brain and hopefully get some questions going that you don't normally get. So Let's just back up the bus for a little bit. And how did you get into digital marketing as a thing for starters?
Yeah, good question. So I actually worked for a marketing company, and we sold advertisements in the newspaper and online. And it was pretty intense, kind of like Wolf of Wall Street style sales. So like really intense sales. Did that for a little while, got out of that, and I wanted to figure out how to leverage the sales aspect of business to more of a mass market approach. Like, how do you really get into marketing? How do you convince or connect with tens of thousands of people to share your message? And so this is what I started doing. I got into that, and then I helped a friend, and then that led to more potential clients, and then I helped another small client, and then I started pushing forward and forward and forward. Yeah.
And then you start to realize that people really don't know how to market themselves.
Yeah,
a real kind of sneak to this. So let's start with kind of what are some of the biggest mistakes that people tend to make when they're trying to market themselves?
Yeah, there's a number of them. I think one mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of businesses make, I made this mistake too when I started, is trying to tackle too much with too little. So I run clients through a marketing strategy when we work with them, and there are any number of 20 to 30 different marketing traction channels that you might be able to go down to help you build your business. But if you're a growing business, or if you're an established business, even, you've really got to have an understanding of which marketing channels are best for you at this current point in time, based on what you're trying to do and based on how many resources you have. And so when I say resources, I mean not just capital or money, but time and team. So we say time, team, and capital. And so that is one big problem because people say, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to be on YouTube and I'm also going to do TikTok and I'm also going to do Facebook and Twitter, but we also want to write content. We also want to have an email newsletter go out. I want to do advertisements too. And oh, this conference is happening. And it's like, whoa, hold on a second. There are just way too many things for your team of 20 people. Let's put the brakes on. Let's figure out which ones are the most effective for your business. So that is, I think, one of the biggest ones. And then not starting soon enough. And this is a mistake that, again, I've made in the past. It's like you can name something: advertisements, social media, SEO, PR. Like, you've got to get started, even on a small level, to start seeing what works for you and what doesn't, to start getting feedback from potential clients and customers, and to adjust so that you can actually find what works, and then double, triple down on that, right? So those are the two biggest mistakes that I've seen a lot of people do.
I love that, because so many times I completely concur. They want everything everywhere, and they don't realize that that all takes, especially budget. So to be,
Right.
it's like, well, unless 50% of your revenue is going to your marketing, which I kind of doubt it is, we really do want to stick to kind of what the I want to say the fattest product you have is like, where's the profitability? Where's the ability for you to be able to do that? And let's narrow down the marketing to what is working, so that we can emulate that on other screens. Because I also see people having a team that will work on their Facebook ads, another team that's working on their TikTok, another team that's working on this, and they're not necessarily giving the same message or the same,
Right.
they're not even selling the same product. Sometimes it's like, you do realize
Right.
that this isn't really working in your favor, right? And
And
so
so
talk
go
to me
ahead.
about kind of the Web3 experience. Back up the bus a little bit for those who don't know what that means. And let's start with explaining what is Web3, and then we'll get into how do you market it.
Okay, so Web3 is the newest buzz term for everything encompassing the blockchain world. So when you hear blockchain, most people, rightfully so, think about, if you've heard about it before, you think about Bitcoin specifically, which is a cryptocurrency, or you probably have heard about NFTs, which is non-fungible tokens, and it's right now typically art. Now there are lots of other applications that you can get into with NFTs, but you've probably heard about one of those two things, and most likely you've heard about crypto. And so Web3 encompasses everything in the blockchain space. So it could be crypto, it could be wallets, it can be anything related to distributed ledger technology. So that's like the backbone of what cryptocurrency runs on. It could be NFTs, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's really a technology, kind of like saying the internet. It's like Web3 is blockchain technology. I hope that explained this.
Yep. And I think it'll become a little more obvious as we're speaking about things. So when it comes to your clients and what you're helping them market, are you helping them to get their NFTs out? Are you helping them to create cryptocurrencies, or are you using the marketing to be able to build their communities and get that involvement? Like, what angle are you taking it from the most? You're
So
probably
yeah,
taking it from all of them, but
well, so we don't deal with the technology side of things
okay.
at all. So there are developers, engineers who actually deal with that. What we do is we build the stories, we build a brand message, we get that message out to audience members on podcasts, on blogs. We deal with the advertising, so we get people to click through to the website. We can build the conversions on the website. We drive the business aspect of marketing. There are people that we work with who deal with the community aspect of it. So ensuring communities engaged, ensuring that there's a lot of community discussion, ensuring that there's bounty campaigns or loyalty programs. We don't do that. We work with those people. But for us, it's more, how do we drive business through marketing channels so that this company or this we're getting down the rabbit hole. This DAO, a distributed autonomous organization, so it's a collection of people in Web3. You may or may not know who they are, but they've all decided to come together to facilitate the development of an idea. Okay, so almost like a company, but not quite like a company. And so we would work with a DAO, we'd work with an actual company, we'd work with a cryptocurrency company, we'd work with an exchange, we'd work with a browser, we'd work with an NFT provider. It doesn't matter. We help them generate business through regular marketing activities.
Yeah, and I think we slid down that rabbit hole a
A
little
little
too
bit.
fast
I
for
try
some
not to go
people.
too far down.
I get it, and I love it, and I love this conversation, but I want to make sure that we're bringing everybody with us.
Yeah.
So my understanding, and feel free to contradict me in any way you see appropriate, is the DAO's kind of like a co-op of once upon a time, where everybody has kind of equal ownership in said thing, and they move it forward, whatever that thing is. And it could be a parallel to a community center, it could be parallel to a bank, it could, or to a bank, to a company, to a piece of art. It could kind of be anything. Is that true, or am I totally off base?
You're very, very close. So it's not that everyone has equal ownership. It's because for most DAOs, there's a core team. So, but what you are correct about, it's a collection of people who have come together, right? So like you mentioned, a community center, or you mentioned like a co-op bank. People come together. They own a piece of the idea that they're creating. Now how do they own a piece of that? Well, there's no company, so they own tokens in that idea. And so those tokens may be coins. So like, Bitcoin is an example of a coin, but it could be a token for what we call governance. And a token, like this is less complicated than it sounds. Okay, so the token allows you to vote, right? So anyone who wants to participate can get, you will get awarded tokens, or you can buy tokens, right? And those tokens allow you to vote on the direction of ideas and where you want to see this overall idea progress. So if we're going to be building art together, Michelle, you and I, we might say, okay, we're going to create a DAO, and we each have 50%, of the tokens in it. But if we want to bring on another designer or developer, we may sell some of those tokens, and that money goes into our now art project, capital, and that capital can be used for marketing. Great. But now we've got a third person who also votes on the direction of where we want to go. And then maybe we want to sell more tokens to 2 other people. And so now we've got 4 or 5 people who are voting on the direction of where things want to go. That is the idea of a DAO, distributed autonomous organization. And so there is no one person who owns it. There's no one person like a CEO or a CFO or CTO who's deciding on the direction. People vote on the direction of where they want to go. Now, you can see that there's some inherent challenges with this anyways, because if you and I started the company, or started the DAO, excuse me, we have the most tokens. And so when it comes to voting rights, if we each have 100 tokens and the third person has 10 tokens or 20 tokens, they don't have as much voting power as we do, right? And so on and on it goes. If we have 20 people and each person has 10 tokens and we have 200 tokens each, our tokens outweigh everyone else, so we can really decide the direction of the DAO. But so this is the idea of it, and it's kind of brought about in a way so that many people can contribute to the direction of where something wants to go, versus having that one CEO or that really core group of advisors or executive team who decides everything and makes mistakes and whatnot. So that's
the gist of it. Now, my understanding also, before we go on to, trust me, I'll let you get into the fun stuff of what you do, not the semantics of it. But I think it's important that people catch on here, is the tokens are somewhat like shares in a company, other than you can spend those tokens as well within the community. Am I right?
Could be. It depends on how
potentially,
it's
depending on how they set it up.
Yes. So it could be. So the tokens could be spendable, yes. Or the tokens could just be governance tokens. So it gives you voting rights. And so when you buy those tokens, that money that you buy goes into a pool for the company's capital, or the DAO's capital. I keep saying company because it's very similar, but it's not the same thing. So it goes into that pool. And so what happens with that capital? Well, let's say there's a pool of $1,000. Well, the group decides what they want to spend that $1,000 on. Maybe it's technology and hiring, more developers, or maybe it's a marketing campaign, or maybe it's advertising. But the group decides what's going to happen with that pooled technology. And who decides? The people who bought the tokens, right? Now, that DAO may also have coins. So they can have coins that are spendable and tokens that give you governance or the ability to vote on things. And so you can have a DAO with both of those, or just one. It really depends on the DAO.
Cool. So one of the most famous DAOs that I had heard of was the one that had bought the American Constitution. I may have those words screwed up just because I'm Canadian. So forgive me for that one. One, do you know where that one has ended up? Like, where is it now? Or two, are there kind of more popular ones kicking around and spreading the news now?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly where that's gone.
That one's gone. Okay.
Um, and there are other DAOs in the ecosystem that are progressing. I think more important than what's the most popular DAO is how are these DAOs kind of developing
That
in
was my
terms
next
of,
question.
yeah,
So,
in
so,
terms of like governance and
yep.
how are they working? Because this idea is kind of like this utopian idea of everyone has an equal say, or you buy into, and the reality of it is, you know, humans like to structure themselves in terms of hierarchies and
Hierarchies.
systems, right?
I
And
really
that's just
do.
the way it works, right? And
Yep.
so also, if someone has more money or capital to buy more governance tokens, they can influence the direction of the DAO more than someone who does not have that same amount of money. So there's all these things, right? Same with like
Hmm.
the original creators of that idea likely have more tokens in terms of governance than the 10,000th user who comes in, right? It just makes sense. I've been
Well,
on the
and I
project
think
for five
if we
years,
look
etc.
at that idea, it's we have this naivety that we really like equality. We like the idea of fairness. We like those
Right.
ideas. But if you think about in your personal life, your barber or hair salon and your optometrist and your dentist and your clothes dresser, your brander, they all have a vested interest in the things that they contribute to you. But once you've left them, you know, and you go about your daily business, 3 weeks later, are you really spending equal amount of time on your hair as you are on your eyes, as you are on your teeth, as you are on your clothes in a given day, right? It's just natural that each individual is going to spend more time and attention into the one thing that they find more important. And I think the same thing happens with these DAOs. If you had a vested interest in 5 of them, eventually you're going to kind of go, oh yeah, but this one really has a lot more of my attention and my interest, and I'm going to put a lot more either time, effort, money, whatever it is, into that thing. And that's how we end up creating those hierarchies. So we go from this egalitarian, if that's the right word, into that hierarchical society. So how does that play out when it comes to marketing these things and distributing kind of the intention or the impact that they want to have?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it actually plays out well because so there's two things. I think one, we need experts, and it's like I would want to defer to a developer or an engineer who's got 10 years of coding experience because I don't know how to code. So like I want them to have more say in the direction of our technology per se than I do. Like that to me makes a lot of sense. So there's that. But at the same time, I also think it's very valuable to have other forms of thought. And so I think where the kind of DAO ecosystem is heading is, on the one side, you've got companies where you've got an executive team who makes all the decisions, it's top down hierarchy. And then on the other side, you have this idea of egalitarian, utopian DAOs where it's everyone's the same and everyone, and that doesn't necessarily work at all either. Lots of infighting, lots of, cliques or clicks get created. There's all sorts of strategies on how to vote things in and out, and it just gets really wild. And so I think what we're seeing is that things are moving towards the center, right? We don't necessarily want to have an executive team making all the top-down decisions, but we also don't want to have everyone making decisions on every little thing. And so in the middle, we find this place where, yeah, the people who have been in the project the most probably know it the most, and the people who have invested the most time probably should have more of a say than someone who doesn't invest any time or a tiny bit. And so there is a bit of a weighted decision making. And so, I think where we're seeing this go is, yeah, people are able to contribute and contribute their thought. But when it comes to things like marketing, you have obviously we have to present our team's ideas and our strategies to the core team, which then brings it to the community, and the community votes on it. And that is something that we go through. And if the community doesn't like the marketing strategies, then we don't execute on them. So we've got to convince the core team to why we think this is a good strategy, and then we've got to convince the community why we think this is a good strategy. But we're open to that feedback. Like, hey, what about X? What about Y? Or have you considered this other thing? And we take that feedback, incorporate it, and go back.
I love it. And we could totally go down the rabbit hole of how this is influencing communities and politics and all sorts of fun things, but we're not going to do that on this
Yeah.
show. So if you're interested in that, let me know and we'll maybe take it further. But for now, who do you serve and support? Like, who is your client? Is it the people that run DAOs that are your ideal client and who come to you the most, or who comes to you the most for your services?
So the thing that I'm focused on most is fractional CMO consulting and growth advisory. So this is something that I've done for a number of companies. I've helped a couple of companies in the last, let's say, 18 months get acquired for 8 figures or more. And this is the thing that I've been focusing on the most. So who comes to me for that? It's typically Web3 companies who are looking for accelerated growth strategies. And they say, hey, we've got a cool product, we've got the technology, we've got a community, we've got a bit of funding, we've got a lot of funding, and we're scattered in terms of our marketing, and we really need to move forward in a direction that can give us that exponential growth. And so those are the companies that I'm typically helping. I don't know, does that answer your question?
Yeah. They will be able to self-identify, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So when you're working with them, is there a difference between working with the Web3 companies and what I'm going to call your typical company that's out there right now? Just like a C-class or an LTD, like a normal quote unquote company?
No, there's really no difference. It's just like the Web3 buzzword is just slapped on it, kind of like AI. It's like, oh, it's an AI company. Is there any difference? No, it's like we still have an executive team. Um, you know, I still would work alongside the founders, co-founders, executive team, board of advisors, etc. And if I'm acting in an acting fractional CMO perspective, then I still jump in the meetings and I still do those types of things. And if it's our agency that's running some of the marketing, our agency gets incorporated as team members, and we have a project manager who will facilitate that discussion. And then we go off and, the agency does what the agency will do, and then we report on it. And it's the same thing as any normal company.
Cool. So what would you say is your favorite part of your business right now?
I like working on interesting ideas. So this is something that, I don't take every client. And so, I'm fortunate to have structured things in a way that, allows that. But I like working on interesting ideas that I think are going to push the needle forward in terms of what I think is important. And so what do I think is important right now? Well, I think the adoption of blockchain technology is extremely important for our future. Now, most people will never really encounter blockchain technology as it becomes more, ubiquitous in our market. Like, it's going to run behind the scenes. Banks are already looking at it. You'll see, real estate companies will look at it. We'll look at NFTs for contracts and all sorts of things. They'll integrate AI and et cetera, et cetera. And you're never going to know. Like, you're just going to click on a button or sign a contract digitally, and the price is going to be negotiated by AI, and all the contracts are going to be done via NFTs, and like, it's going to get done in an hour instead of 3 weeks of negotiation. That's kind of where we're going. But so I want to see blockchain companies and cool ideas progress forward. And some of that is in obviously getting crypto adoption happening. So I work with a lot of exchanges, work with cryptocurrencies. I like NFTs as well. I think it's an interesting space. And then I also really like the idea of privacy and stability coins, because I think that our privacy is in a lot of jeopardy right now. And I think that as we progress forward into the future, we need to fight for that. And we need to make sure that we've got that taken care of.
I like that. And in your experience, is there any because the whole idea of blockchain, especially on POS systems and inventory management, to me is fascinating. And being able to kind of pinpoint where something may have gone wrong, and the ability to be able to go back to when something went wrong, because usually they don't go back if everything's right. They just go back when something goes wrong, but that they can do it within minutes, what used to take months to be able to figure out. I find absolutely fascinating. The idea of real estate, I think, is going to be another huge one, in order to deter people from being able to um, fake out contracts and like the whole mortgage manipulation thing. I think with the advent of blockchain is going to be hugely advantageous. Are there any other industries that you see that are being um, particularly well positioned for blockchain?
Yeah, so I think if we take a step back, blockchain technology is absolutely fantastic for some things, but not for everything. And so, what we're really talking about from a high level perspective is data, right? Like we're talking about data, we're talking about certain. If you think about an Excel sheet, like tables of data, you're talking about transaction data, so over periods of time, and blockchain has this fantastic ability to encrypt it, store it, make sure that it's secure, um, and also distribute that data across many different databases or points of contact, you might say. We call them nodes. Um, and so I think that the what we've seen so far is really just scratching the surface. So art, unique pieces of art, well, that's encoded in data that is a unique piece of data, and so you can't copy it. You can take a screenshot of it, but you know that this is an original piece of art. That's pretty cool. Same with the real estate contracts that you mentioned. Those are unique pieces of data on a transactional database that you know exactly what wallet it's going to and from. You know exactly who's behind those wallets. You know exactly that the contract hasn't been manipulated with or tampered with. Like, there's a lot of very beneficial things to it. So I think that we're just scratching the surface in terms of where we are with blockchain technology. So, the key industries are obviously finance. You've seen that with cryptocurrency, art, and unique contracts with NFTs. So art, real estate, ticketing potentially. But I think there's going to be a lot more unique aspects of NFTs. So copyright on music, copyright on images, those can all be digitally signed with unique identifiers from NFTs. And then there's things that are just even beyond me that I have no idea, that I think very smart people in the world will start to figure out, and we'll be like, oh, this is an awesome use case. But there's a lot that I think can be applied to.
Nice. So who would you say that's listening to this right now is kind of best positioned to give you a call and go, hey, KL, what can you do for us? Obviously, it's the ones that are already into that. Is it anybody that's kind of on the periphery that doesn't realize that how much they could benefit from a conversation with you?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking to really grow your company and you've got a technology company, then I'm happy to get on the phone with you. Now, if you're not a technology company, well, there's Press Jockey, which is what I've been spending a lot of time building, right? And so I'm happy to get on a call with you there as well for e-commerce companies, healthcare companies, agencies, especially. This thing, we built it for our agency. And it really is valuable in terms of helping you get more press with a lot less effort. So we use AI, that's in process. We use technology, algorithms, et cetera, to really filter through thousands of requests every week, so that you don't have to do that work. You don't have to hire people to do that work. And then we make it super easy for you to respond with templates and all the rest. So if you're looking to get more press, give me a call. I'm happy to even help you build your story and help you build your first couple of pitches and go through what we would normally go through with a client, which we charge tens of thousands of dollars for it. Be happy to do that, for 30 minutes.
Nice. So in the world of press, so somebody wants to go out, they want to get press releases and send those out to the news advocates. That is an aspect. Are there other aspects like getting articles presented for it, or how inclusive is it?
Yeah, so I actually would say that I would be very cautious of press releases to start. Just mostly because unless you have, this is what I say to clients, unless you have really interesting news, the cost of a press release, right? So you got to remember, you're going to take time to write it. You're going to pay somebody to write it. Then you're going to distribute it. And so you can distribute it on free platforms, but obviously not a lot of people are going to see it. A company like Berkshire Hathaway, who owns a press release distribution company, they will charge you between $5,000 and $10,000 up to $15K to distribute it to the world or to Canada or the United States or the UK, or whatever it might be. The cost of that can be quite high. And so unless you have very interesting news, most press releases don't really get picked up. So it's not worth the money, my perspective on it. You can call me and we can chat about it, and I can let you know like what I think about your specific use case. Then how do you go about getting press? Well, this is interesting. There's really two ways you can do it, and I don't think a lot of PR companies would tell you this. There's the outbound way, and so that's what typical PR companies do. We do. We charge tens of thousands of dollars to do that. We create a story, we build a pitch, we build a strategy, we target outlets, we work our network, and we get you placed on different publications. Okay. Then there's an inbound way. And so the inbound way is when you respond to people who are already looking for experts and help. And so there are tools like Press Jockey that can help you do that. And so collecting those thousands of requests every week and filtering them down into, hey, here are the top 50 or 100 that you should be responding to. Like there are podcasters, bloggers, TV personalities, radio, like there's lots of people who are looking for experts like you to give them insight. And so we help you find those. And so that's where I would spend more of my time on PR, is in getting those placements or in doing that outbound PR. And you can do the outbound PR yourself, right? It just takes time. You got to know what you're doing, but it takes time. You can do either one of those and start to get a lot more press than putting out a press release.
Very cool. I like it. So I know that our listeners are going to want more from you. How do they start their journey with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can connect with me at Cahill at digitalvision.io. So digitalvision.io. That's one of the ways to do it. Or you can go to pressjockey.com and you can sign up there, or you can shoot me an email or shoot our team an email. And again, I'm happy to jump on a call with people to help them get sorted out in the next next little bit until, let's say, the end of March. Happy to do that for people and help you get insights onto what decisions you should be making in terms of your press or your marketing.
I love it. So we will, of course, have all of your links in the show notes. So peeps, if you're interested, go ahead and click on those links now. And of course, keep an ear open because we're still chatting. So I do get to ask you at this point, at what point in life did you know you were a special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I started my first business in university, but I think I never really, when I was younger, I suppose I thought about working on Wall Street. I always found that pretty cool. I wanted to work for a big bank and make lots of money and do trades and all that kind of stuff. And then in university, I realized I didn't want to do that, and I was like, yeah, entrepreneurship is what it is for me. I knew that right off the bat, kind of.
I love it. You have been absolutely awesome today. Thank you. Any last words for our peeps?
My last words are, what, like if you're any kind of company looking to grow your business, get started. Like you got to get started. And so I know it can be challenging. It can be a little intimidating sometimes, but get started. Listen to this podcast, and you can give me a call if you want, or reach out and get started, because it does take time to build good PR. It takes time to build marketing. It takes time to get traction for your business. And so you got to get started.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I know how valuable it is.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Michelle. I appreciate it.
So, peeps, thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.